My name is Terrell Lamont. I am one of the creators and the showrunner of the show Broke Boys. It-
Okay. You're
I'm
next.
trying. I'm trying to give that 2 to 3 seconds. So,
Yeah.
My name is MJ Al Habib Jr. I'm one of the creators as well of Broke Boys, and yeah, that's me. Nice to meet you guys.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I am so excited to chat with you both today about Broke Boys. And first, I'd like to just know a little bit about your backgrounds and how you got started in the industry a little bit, if you'd like to share.
yeah, I can share. I actually grew up in the music industry, but about 10 or 11 years ago, I fell in love with film, and it kind of shifted my career over to film and moved to Colorado in about 2012. Connected with some amazing people, built this company called Grit House, and we were making films. I've directed a couple of feature films now, and along with MJ, myself, we've started a series called Broke Boys, and just really excited to tell unique and creative stories that can connect with an audience and inspire and entertain and all those things. So just really excited to be in this industry and being able to express myself creatively. So
Yeah. So I had an interesting start. Also started in the music industry, but covering album release parties and radio shows and various events in the music industry, but always felt that creative inclination where I wanted to tell stories. Narrative filmmaking has always been a big thing for me, writing and directing. And so I moved out to LA from the East Coast and, just started making films and working. And, you're constantly pushing to try to tell your stories and have your voice be heard. And I kind of go back and forth between LA and Denver, came up to Denver and linked up with Terrell and Grid House, and just been kind of working on projects with them ever since. My company is Impavid Entertainment, and I feel like almost every project since I've come up here has been an Impavid and Grid House or Grid House Impavid project. We became great friends, and just love working on film. You have to love it, everything you go through. People see the finished product, but they have no idea, what it takes to even get to the finish line. And so when you're doing that, you want to work with people that that you care about, that are coming from a certain background. And it's always been a blessing to do that. And so we're excited. Broke Boys, we're very excited about Broke Boys.
Yeah, that's so fascinating, but that both of you came from the music industry that way and then both transition closer into film. But what inspired you to create Broke Boys and this type of story?
Broke Boys was kind of born out of uh, difficulty and hardship in the film industry. We were actually in getting ready to go into production out in Las Vegas on a film, and we were experiencing difficulties and where we had to halt production. And so we were kind of feeling down and feeling kind of, just discouraged about the whole process of this industry and the difficulties of it. And for me, and MJ's probably similar, is when I'm feeling down, when I'm feeling kind of just, slightly depressed or whatever, one thing that I tend to fall into is being creative to pull myself out of it and saying, okay, instead of focusing on all the issues and problems that I'm dealing with, let's just take our time and take a deep breath and be creative. Let's think of new ideas, new stories, and things like that. And so while we were out in Vegas trying to get this other film off the ground, while production was halted, the idea for Broke Boys kind of popped in our minds as we were talking and brainstorming different things. And a lot of the inspiration comes from stories and things that have happened in our lives. And obviously they're exaggerated and expounded upon and things like that. But it started from a place of what are the kind of the crazy things that go on in our lives trying to pursue this film career. and how could we tell this in a dramatic yet humorous and real heartfelt way. And so a lot of the situations that these guys find themselves in are based loosely on some experiences that we've had or we thought about or things like that. So you know, I think good ideas sometimes are born out of struggle and out of turbulence and things like that. And so that's kind of how it was born. And we were able to. It was just me and him in Las Vegas. Just we were trying to get out of this funk that we were in, and we're like, hey, I got this idea. Let's talk about this. And so from there, it kind of snowballed into what we have now. So
Yeah, it's, you know what, I watched it and I am not a broke boy, but it is super relatable. And one of the scenes where the main character is driving for Lyft,
yeah,
and oh my gosh, that scene is so like, very, very specific
uh-huh.
because
Yeah.
I drove for Lyft at one point. And
Mhm.
as someone who was in the industry, as a filmmaker, a
Yeah.
director, right? That is a conversation I have had. So that's something that's happened so many times,
Mhm.
and driving drunk people home, and they're like, "What? Yeah, I know a guy, and I know some." It happened so
Yeah.
many like times
Yeah.
before, and I was like, "Yes, I get that, especially as a creative." So,
Yeah.
like, was that something that actually had happened to one of you or somebody that you knew before?
Yeah. MJ,
100%.
you can
I,
respond to that.
I mean, 100%. Like he said, a lot of things were taken from our own lives and some were expounding on. I don't know if that one was even expounded upon
Yeah.
because I mean that has happened to us individually. That's happened to where we get on we use this app, the walkie-talkie app, where we kind of go back and forth, like, who I just picked up, or what, and
Yeah.
Because we
it
both
kind
have
of
driven Lyft and Uber and stuff like that
Right.
as well. So
yeah.
I mean, as a creative,
That's a creative.
that's
That's what
kind
you
of
have to do.
what you have to do. So yeah.
I mean, we're constantly thinking, in life, your life is a movie, and it's not from an narcissistic standpoint, but you're constantly thinking of like, this is a great scene, what just happened, or can you believe this happened? And it helps you get through the night. You're working a late Friday or Saturday night, and you're working. Who wants to be working then? But we're doing this because of our love of film and TV and all of our creative inclinations. So you know, we use this app Voxer. We're voxing back and forth. Hey, what happened here? Can you believe this or this and that? Kind of gets us through the night. And then, sometimes it's too much and we're like, you know what, let's grab a drink. Let's
Yeah.
and we meet up and we say, all right, let's try not to spend everything we earned today. But those nights were definitely real.
Definitely, those conversations have definitely happened numerous times, and I was like, okay, this has to go in the show because some people don't know what it's like trying to pursue a creative career and then having doing Lyft and Uber and doing whatever you can to get by and pay your bills and things like that, and just how the outside world looks at you,
Right.
as, oh, that's cute, you're making film. Do you work for Kodak, or can you shoot my friend's
Right.
wedding and things like that? It's like, no, I'm not, that's not what I do.
No, no.
It's
That's
either
not,
that, it's either that, or they think you're making some other type of film. Like half the
yeah,
people, oh, you make movies? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, not
yeah,
those movies.
Not those type of
not
movies.
those type. But every time you say, yeah, I'm an indie filmmaker, that's where their head will go. They'll be like, oh, that's actually a good idea to put in one of the next
There
episodes.
you go. Write it down.
Yeah.
And that's why I love like independent pilots and independent creators, especially because you're bringing so much of like your own personal experiences to the
Mhm.
story and to the script, and that's what makes them so much more relatable, entertaining, even funny, because it's like this is you, and you're not held down by any restrictions by like a studio, or you have to, we need this in here specifically for this, and can you add
Mhm.
this character because of that? That's why I love independent pilots. And then also, you two are local here in Denver, and I'm in the Denver community as well, and though SeriesFest is global, international, we're here in Denver, we're based
Mhm.
here in Denver, and we love local filmmakers and giving back to the community. And especially when I watched this, I saw several people that I know
Mhm.
personally in the
Yeah.
in the script, and people who I've worked with before.
Uh-huh.
So I'd love for you to kind of just tell us a little bit about like the Denver like film community and the
Yeah.
connections that you have with making this project.
Yeah. I think doing Broke Boys, it was very important to us that we show a different side of Denver that maybe is not explored as much, especially with cultural issues and dealing with filmmakers of color.
Yeah.
And we know, I mean, it's not a secret that Denver is not extremely diverse with
Right.
things like that. And so a lot of stories that you see are from a certain perspective, and we're like, well, let's try to tell the story from our perspective and what it's like to be a filmmaker in this town where you're a minority and you're trying to pursue a dream. It's different for people of color to try to pursue something that it may be for someone who's not of color or whatever. There's different challenges and struggles that we have to face that maybe other people that don't have to face that. And so we're like, what if we explore that a little bit? Dealing with trying to pursue a dream when you're fighting through poverty and racial stuff and personal issues that some other people may not have to deal with and things like that. And how do we mix that in and tell this story in a unique perspective that not a lot of Denver storytellers are telling, even working with specific actors that are maybe not getting as many roles and other things and things like that. That was very important to us to show a different side of Denver that might not be shown as much.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so important, especially out here, especially in the type of climate that we're in right
Yeah.
now. And there's such a push for more authentic stories and inclusive stories that we just haven't seen before and we haven't heard before. And not only are people, hungry for those stories and really, really want to see them, but you also have, more on kind of the big business side where they're trying to put their dollars where their mouth is, where their mouths are. If they're
Yeah.
saying this is what we want, we recognize that this is what audiences want, they're pushing for that as well. And so I love that perspective with this story and kind of just highlighting a difference with Denver and the struggles that creatives out here face, that when they're people of color that don't really face anywhere else.
Mhm.
And speaking of some of the actors who had an opportunity, the dad in this Pops in this story. Oh my gosh, he was so great. He was
Mhm.
that whole scene where he didn't really understand, where he was at and who people were. It was funny. It was
Mhm.
hilarious, and he did such a good job. But
Mhm.
I realized that that seemed like he was suffering from early signs of Alzheimer's or
Mhm.
dementia.
Mhm.
Could you kind of touch on that a little bit and why you decided to put that type of character in the story?
Yeah, I think one thing I don't I just felt like sometimes just getting a look into a person's struggle. It's Ray's father, but Tariq and Ray are really close. They're like brothers, so it's like Tariq's father as well. And while they're trying to pursue this incredibly challenging thing in the film industry, they're also trying to take care of their families as well. And so Tariq has a son, and he's dealing with baby mama issues and
Oh, girl.
things like that. And then Ray's got a single dad that he's got to take care of, who's starting to lose his mind a little bit, and that gives you kind of a little bit more. It gives, like, sometimes people don't know what keeps you going.
Mm,
Some people don't know what the drive, like, why do you do this when you work late hours and you're away from home and you're struggling and you're constantly getting rejected, and people don't understand why keep going, why not just go do something normal. And it's like, we do it for the people that we love. We do it because maybe like Pops is an artist as well, and the
mm,
story behind Pops is he wasn't able to pursue his dreams. He wasn't able to pursue his career in art, even though he may be this brilliant artist. And so Ray feels obligated to keep to carry on his father's legacy and not give up on his dreams, and also to take care of his father. He knows his father is declining, and there's no one else that's going to be able to take care of him. And so Ray wants to put him in a situation where he can take care of him as well, and things like that. So a lot of times people don't see what's behind the drive and why we do what we do. They don't understand it. They're like, late hours, little pay,
mhm.
rejection. Why do you do this? Well, we wanted to open that up and say there's something behind why we push this so hard, and what the fire it is inside of us, and what ignites that fire. And a lot of times it's our family. It's a lot of people that are closest to us that we're trying to do this for, and that keeps us going. And so I wanted to show that as well. Pops is a great character. He's one of our favorite characters as well. He's great, and we can't wait to show more of him, because we have a lot more in store with Pops. So I don't know if you want to do a expound on that, MJ.
Yeah, I mean, just I guess expanding on what you're saying. Part of the Pops character and so many of these characters in Tariq and Ray's lives, it's all part of the cost of chasing a dream, and that's one of the themes we have with the show, is that there's so much it costs to become a filmmaker. You have pressures, from family or from people around you, from the lavish lifestyles, or get a 9-to-5 and all this and that. I mean, anyone who chooses to be a filmmaker, you have to love it, because it will squeeze you out of the business. The amount of struggles and hardships and things you have to deal with, are sacrifices of social life, or how you live. If people knew, I mean, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. If people knew so much behind what the cost really is, they think you're crazy. And I think filmmakers know, because filmmakers, if you're filmmaking and you're still a filmmaker, because you're just as crazy as us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and some of that is also the responsibility and the itch and the drive that you feel to quote unquote make it, or to have a better life, to provide for a family. Like Terrell said, with the Pops character. And then there's so many characters that have so much meaning to to Tariq and Ray, and we really kind of developed that further and further along. We're in the writers' room right now for season 2, and we're really trying to touch on a lot of that and the motivations behind each character and what they go through.
Yeah, I really, really love that. And it's something, this life that you live as a filmmaker and as a creative, unless you're in it, you really don't get it. You really don't understand. And so many times when I tell people what I do and I dabble in and everything, they're like, oh, wow. Yeah. So like, are you going to be in LA? And they think just so much bigger. And you're like, this is not it at all. And you have the family aspect. Like, my sister's a doctor. So the pressure is on to, get stability, and as well as that financial stability, which is touched on all throughout this episode. And I think unless you really are in it, and we work in this industry in production, you're working 12-hour days. You're working as long as sometimes doctors are working, depending on, the set that you're on. And some people just, they don't get that. They don't understand it. So I really love that you all touched on that, and we can see a little bit more of that. And you mentioned, and I was going to ask, what is next for Broke Boys, and what you're doing now, and when we're going to see possibly more episodes, and especially because in a time right now with COVID, and so many people have lost their jobs. So many people also have pivoted in different directions and decided to go into a little bit more of like a creative realm. I've seen that a lot with people who have abandoned their like 9-to-5 job, and they're like, I'm going to become an entrepreneur, or I'm pursuing, this creative life. So I feel like this is so timely right now, with this story, with this show. What's next, and what are you working on to bring for the next episodes, this season, next season?
So the first season is already produced. We're just kind of putting the finishing touches on it. The what you saw was kind of the first 2 episodes kind of combined. But we have 6 episodes that we're going to roll out later this year. And then like MJ said, we're already writing season 2, where it dives even further into the personal aspects of these characters. And what's important to me is, I feel like my mission, my purpose in life, and the gifts that I have, is to inspire others. Because I've talked to a lot of people, And a lot of people say, oh, I wish that I could do what you do. I have dreams and I have goals and things like that, but then I had to get a job and I had to settle and this and that, which I'm not knocking that. Anybody that you got to make decisions for your life that make sense for your life. But I do want to inspire people to go after what they feel is their purpose in life, go after what they feel they're gifted at, because I really do feel like we have one of these things, this life, and don't waste it on something that you hate. And there's so many people like, I hate my job, I hate this, I hate that. But I understand the struggles and all that stuff behind it. And that's one of the reasons why we came up with Broke Boys, is because just because you decide to go to a creative endeavor doesn't mean everything's going to be sweet and everything's going to be happy. You got to, it's a battle to overcome these different challenges that you have in your personal life, or if you're, especially if you're personal color dealing with societal things and racial things and things like that you got to battle every day just to try to pursue your dream. And so one of my goals with this show is I hope that it will inspire others to say, you know what, I have this thing that I want to do, whatever it is. Maybe it's creative, maybe it's to start your own business, whatever, because I do feel like that we're meant to do more than just punch a clock. And so if you can find a way to do that, and if I can find a way to inspire others through what I do, that's what I'm trying to do. So diving in season 2, we get really into the personal lives, their love lives, their struggles, all this stuff that they have to deal with while trying to make their first feature film. And so I really wanted to make this an intimate, personal story, even though the goal is somewhat grand and large, but it's very intimate and personal.
I love that. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see more and to see how they are able to, I'm looking for some wins in there. I hope they have some wins in there as well. But we know some wins come and then there are a lot of losses as well in this industry and as filmmakers. But I am super, super excited to see more. And I think this is absolutely a show that can inspire people. I was inspired even watching it because I'm laughing at some of the stuff like, oh my gosh, yeah, I experienced that. Oh no, yeah, that's so relatable. But at the same time, it's keeping me, it made me want to keep going because I know somewhere along the line you're going to strike some gold just during this process. So I'm excited to see more. Is there anything else you want to share with us about this story, this journey?
MJ, you got anything?
Just I'll actually take a line that Terrell and I have talked about this all the time, is just to part of the inspiration and inspiring others is just take time to appreciate the journey. This is all part of the journey. This quote unquote make it, it's in your mind, whether you make it or whether you don't. And just if you keep pushing and you love film and whatever creative endeavor you're into, you keep working hard, then you will make it. And I think just with Broke Boys, it symbolizes so much in our lives, but it's also something that hopefully people can relate to and inspire, and it can inspire others. And so just enjoy the journey, enjoy this path that you're on as a creative.
Enjoying the journey. That's true, because sometimes we focus so much on the destination where we're trying to get to that we're not enjoying the journey. And the whole thing is the journey. The whole thing is the journey. It's not about where you end up and where you land. The whole thing is a journey. And so you enjoy that, appreciate it, appreciate that you have the opportunity to be on this journey. And so I hope that people will get that from the work that we do in Broke Boys and things like that. I'm glad you said that, because it really is important to keep that perspective. Otherwise you will get burnt out, you will get depressed, because failure is part of success. You have to fail to succeed. So understanding that failures and successes happen along the journey, and it's never one success or one failure that defines everything. It's all part of the journey.
And what we're saying, this is enjoy the journey, something Terrell told me. And there's times that we've both had, whether it's one of our films or something we're working on, where we're both really down, and we have to remind ourselves that this failure, like you said, this quote unquote failure, but it's really the path to success. And when you do get some wins, like you mentioned, Brown, when you do get some wins, you look back and you say that previous thing I thought was a failure, that paved the way for this win. Like I wouldn't be here without that. And so when you understand that, it's really your perspective changes, and not like you love the pain or you love the struggle, but you kind of embrace it and say, you know what, it doesn't matter because nothing's going to stop me. And one thing Terrell and I identified with each other, why we became great friends right away, was we understood that struggle is part of everything, and we're not backing down from any of it. And you chase your dreams, it's going to be hard. So try to embrace that perspective of it, and then nothing will stop you.
I love it. This was a whole TED Talk right there. That's a TED Talk. Thank you. Well, it was so great chatting with you all, and thank you so much. We can't wait to see more of Broke Boys, and we look forward to it. So thank you for sharing your perspective with us, and good luck.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you.